Trump's 100K H-1B fee. This is the biggest headline news we've seen in the immigration world in a long time. I got a quick question for you. If the US suddenly slaps a 100K fee on every H-1B fee, who gets hurt more? The foreign workers or the US employers who depend on them? Drop your answer in the comments. I'd like to see your opinion. In this video, I'll walk you through what Trump just announced, how the media is spinning it, and what my fellow immigration attorneys are saying behind the scenes on our private, closed to the public AILA forum, American Immigration Lawyers Association. And I'll also give you my take on whether this is a half-baked idea that has any chance of actually panning out. So, what's the headline? The headline is this: President Trump signed a proclamation tying H-1B entry to a $100,000 payment. Some officials call it $300K up front for 3 years. Others are calling it, well, it's going to be $100K per year. But no one inside the administration seems to agree. And just to crank up the spectacle even more, he rolled out the gold card track, which is where you can pay $1 million as an individual or $2 million as a company and skip to the head of the line and get a green card. So it's part visa reform, kind of like an auction of some sort. Anyway, let's put this all into context. In all seriousness, this is classic Trump. He's trying to grab headlines, confuse people, and this is a half-baked idea. Remember, in his first term, he blasted H-1Bs as a way to undercut American workers, and then he kind of flip-flopped in 2024 on the campaign trail. If you remember, he said he'd support foreign graduates of US universities, which was kind of exciting, but it didn't really pan out either. So now we're back to this sledgehammer approach, and it could wipe out everyone except a few of these select big tech companies. And even the Commerce Secretary, Howard Lutnick, contradicted himself on whether this is going to be per year or upfront. That tells you how little groundwork was done before throwing this bombshell into the news cycle. So what exactly does the proclamation do? Well, here's the fine print. It takes place on Monday, and it lasts 12 months unless extended. It restricts visa issuance and entry from abroad unless 100K is paid, and extensions in the US look like they're safe for now. It also orders DHS to block petitions for beneficiaries outside the US without payment. So it also directs the DOL to recalculate wage levels to push salaries higher, and DHS can also carve out national interest exemptions for individuals, companies, or industries so that they don't have to pay this amount. What it doesn't clearly touch, at least not yet, are in-country extensions or changes of status, as I mentioned earlier. Those aren't considered entries. But if you leave the US for stamping, you could be caught in this complicated web. So what are my fellow immigration attorneys saying behind the scenes? Well, on a private AILA attorney forum, the reactions are pretty blunt. One colleague said, "This is crazy, it would destroy the H-1B program." My fellow lawyers are telling clients not to travel unless they want to risk being stuck abroad, because Section 1B of the proclamation specifically says DHS is to restrict petitions for workers outside the country that don't include the 100K. So that's why the urgent advice right now is, if you're in the US, don't leave. Some think only entries are hit, but others think DHS could expand this to more types of filings like extensions. But what everyone does expect, and this is very important, we expect lawsuits immediately, since fee setting authority is typically with Congress, not the White House. And one attorney summed it up really well. This attorney said the proclamation reads like an untrammeled rant with details so garbled that even consulates may not know how to enforce them. So I hope that gives you all a little reassurance. This is really half-baked. That's the best word to use. Now, what about the economic and political fallout? Well, think about the economics. 6 years of H-1B status proposed to cost $600,000 extra in fees. Maybe Google, Amazon, or Microsoft could absorb it for a few star candidates, but hospitals, nonprofits, universities, and startups, they would effectively be priced out overnight. The likely outcome is there'd be offshoring spikes, high quality job seekers will look elsewhere, and America loses ground in the AI race against China. Politically, though, Trump scores points. It makes a nice, big, flashy headline. It feeds the uninformed base the message of protecting the US jobs. I can already see the crackpot MAGA comments piling up in the comments section in this video. Sorry, not sorry. And this puts big tech, one of his favorite targets, right in the crosshairs. So to be clear, the 100K fee will probably get blocked in court, but the wage hike effort, that could stick, making H-1Bs more expensive across the board. That is what I'm a little bit worried about. I do think that may stick, making it a bit harder for companies to sponsor H-1Bs. So what's my take? My view is the odds this survives intact, very low. The president can restrict entry under immigration law, but attaching a six-figure toll, it looks like a tax, not a security measure. And courts have been allowed bans, but they've never allowed a pay-to-entry scheme like this. So I would expect lawsuits, confusion at the consulates to ensue, and probably an injunction before it ever gets rolling. In short, it's just going to be more chaos than clarity. So it's going to be a very interesting series of days coming up. So returning to the main question, I'll throw it back to you. If this sticks, who suffers more? The worker who can't afford to chase the American dream, or employers who lose access to the global candidate pool? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I'd love to hear what you have to say. Is this going to make America greater or weaker? And follow for real-time immigration updates. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.